Now here's a pattern of conversation that has "it is all up to you." Misha, would you like to go out to dinner or to a movie? Karen, either one. It's up to you. Misha, what would you prefer? Karen, I really don't care. I just want to get out of the house. Misha, well, then how about dinner and a movie? Karen, both? That's a great idea. Now, the explanation of this, if you say that it is up to someone to do something, you mean that it is their responsibility to do it. Now, here's a conversation pattern related to "you can count on us." Suman, Seema, can you drive Ria and me to the doctor on Monday? Seema, I think so. Suman, we need a ride very badly. Are you sure you will be able to help out? Seema, sure. I will mark it on my calendar so I don't forget. Suman, thanks. You're a good friend. Seema, you can always count on me when you need help. Now, the explanation of this is, if you count on someone or count upon them, you rely on them to support you or help you. Example, I can always count on you to cheer me up. That's another example of the same. Now here's a conversation pattern related to "it doesn't make any difference." Mickey, shall I pick you up at 5 or 6? Seema, it doesn't make any difference. Mickey, okay, I will pick you up at 5. Seema, no problem. Mickey, shall we play badminton or table tennis on Sunday? Seema, it doesn't make any difference. Now, the explanation of this is, if something makes no difference, it does not have any effect on what you are doing. Like, another example of it would be, it is sad to see him go, but it won't make any difference to the way we conduct our affairs. The expression is used to denote a situation when one person does not want to trouble the other person. Now here's a conversation pattern related to "chances are slim." Carol, what are your chances of getting into Yale? Judy, my chances are slim. Carol, I hear those central schools are tough to get into. Judy, I know. I'd have better chance at the state board school. Carol, sure, it's not a bad school either. Judy, I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond. Explanation: if you say that someone doesn't stand a chance of achieving something, you mean that they cannot possibly achieve it. Another example of this would be, neither is seen as standing any chance of snatching the leadership from him. When it is not easy to get things done, it is said that the chances are very slim, that it is not possible to get things done. Now here's another pattern of conversation that is related to "it is on the tip of my tongue." Mohan, do you remember the restaurant we went to last Friday? Rohit, sure I do. It was the Silver Castle. Mohan, No, we have never been to the Silver Castle. Rohit, maybe it was the gold coin. Mohan, no, G. It is on the tip of my tongue. Rohit, never mind, the food was terrible. Explanation of this is, if a comment or question is on the tip of your tongue, you really want to say it or ask it, but you decide not to say it. Another example, a sarcastic remark was on the tip of her tongue. Or, I don't remember it exactly. It was just on the tip of my tongue. Do you have an idea what it was exactly? No, neither do I. I have no idea. Now here's another conversation pattern related to not that I know of. Mel, is Mrs. Johnson joining us for dinner? Susie, not that I know of. Mel, I was hoping she would come with us. Susie, why? Mel, I would like her to try some of our traditional Chinese food. Susie, that's very kind of you. The explanation of this is, if you say, not that I know of, when someone has asked you whether or not something is true and you think the answer is no, but you cannot be sure because you do not know all the facts. In these kind of situations, we can say, not that I know of. Now, another conversation related to, it's a piece of cake. Han, what kind of Chinese food would you like to have? Joe, I'd like to have spring rolls. Han, fine. By the way, do you know how to use chopsticks? Joe, it's a piece of cake. Han, how in the world did you learn to use them? Joe, I was stationed in Taiwan for 5 years, you know. The explanation to this is, if you think something is very easy to do, you can say it's a piece of cake. People often say this to stop someone feeling worried about doing something they have to do. If soldiers or officials are stationed in a place, they are sent there to do a job or to work for a period of time. Now here's another conversation related to I tossed and turned all night. Rob, are you ill? Silas, not really. I'm just tired. Rob, didn't you sleep well last night? Silas, no, I tossed and turned all night. Rob, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you sleep better tonight. Silas, thank you. I'm sure I will. The explanation of this is, if you toss and turn, you move restlessly in bed and cannot sleep properly. For example, because you're ill or worried. Another example of this would be, you feel as if you have been tossing and turning all night and wake up feeling worn out. Now here's another conversation related to, let's get to the point. Janet, good afternoon, Bob. Isn't it a lovely day? Bob, yes, it is, Janet. Janet, it is the kind of day when you want to go outside. Bob, Janet, let's get to the point. Bob, you want the afternoon off. Janet. Yes, Bob. Bob. All right. As soon as you finish typing, you can go. Now the explanation of this is when someone comes to the point or gets to the point, they start talking about the thing that is most important to them. Another example, you have been talking all night, but I don't see your point. Now here's another example of conversation related to, does it ring a bell? Shirley, guess who I met at the grocery store? Leonard, I can't imagine. Shirley, do you remember Mr. Johnson from our old neighborhood? Leonard, that name rings a bell, but I can't place him. Shirley, he used to live in the building next to ours. Leonard, oh yes, now I remember. He had dark hair and wore glasses. Now the explanation of this is, if you say that something rings a bell, you mean that it reminds you of something else, but you cannot remember exactly what it is. If you say that you cannot place someone, you mean that you recognize them, but you cannot remember exactly who they are or where you have met them before. Now here's another conversation related to, I'll keep my fingers crossed. Peters, please have a seat. Albert, thank you. Peter, I am Mr. Peters, the personal manager. What can I do for you? Albert, I'm looking for a position as a sales representative. Peters, we may have an opening next week. Please leave your resume. I will keep in touch with you. Albert, thanks. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Now the explanation of this is, if you cross your fingers, you put one finger on top of another and hope for good luck. If you say that someone is keeping their fingers crossed, you mean they are hoping for good luck. Example, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they turn up soon. Now here's another conversation related to, don't get me wrong. Billy, Bill is going to sing tonight. Lucy, oh no. Billy, don't you like his singing? Lucy, it's not that. Don't get me wrong. Billy, what's the problem then? Lucy, he only knows one song. The explanation of this is, if you say, don't get me wrong, when you want to make sure that someone does not misunderstand what you're doing or saying, or why you are doing or saying it.